can't hear me yet. Now you can. Hey, what's up, y'all? What's up? It's me, the one and only Dark Lord 100, aka Double KK Double, and you are watching First GenXers Presents The Classroom, where we talk all things sports right here on Twitch TV. And I am joined as usual with the one and only O'Malley, and what? Unreplaceable in induplicatable. How did Robin Williams say it? I don't know. I'm a goofball. I don't
Yeah,
know.
well,
All right.
thank God there's only one of me. We'll just put it that way. I'm not sure the world could handle a second one.
All right. So we're gonna open up today's talk with a little bit of talk about the NBA season. For those of you in the know and who've been watching ESPN like millions of others, you saw that the NBA season started. Funny story to kick off this talk is I'm in a yearly fantasy based basketball league, and our commissioner completely forgot about basketball this year. So everything was auto. Every team was auto drafted.
Hmm.
So I got a pretty decent team. My team's in first right now. Only problem is it's a roto league, and I don't understand how any of that works. Like I genuinely don't. Like I just I make sure that all the people that are playing that day are in my starting lineup, and then I just forget about it. Like it doesn't make any sense to me. I've never understood a roto fantasy basketball. But anyway,
What's the point? Like, I mean, feels like more like luck than anything.
especially considering everybody's team was auto drafted, I think that's why he waived the entrance
That
fee this year.
that part, well, also because it sounds like he fucked up and forgot.
Yeah. So,
So
all right. So, Warriors playing.
Warriors have made history.
Yeah, yeah, with the biggest plus minus differential in basketball history through two games. I
77 point differential.
as much as I applaud them, and I'm proud to say that's another record that the Warriors hold. I also ask who the keeps track of this. Like,
These
like,
are some really super random. Like I even thought the same thing about like some of Jaden Daniels' stats,
yeah.
right? As a first year quarterback, and it's like, who keeps track of some of this random ass shit? Like, and who cares? Like, it's not like it feels like in the grand scheme of things, how important is that statistic actually? Not.
Not. It isn't. But there is somebody. There is literally. Here's the thing that's going to blow your mind. Not only is there somebody that keeps track of that, there is somebody who collects a paycheck to keep track of like that.
How do I get that job?
Like he's the one that knows that Steph Curry, when shooting with his left hand on Tuesdays at 3:45, only shoots for 77% instead of 78 from
I
20 feet
feel
or
like
less.
it's I feel like it's probably some antisocial troll who's never left their home, let alone their room, and like it kind of like the Moneyball idiots, right? Like it's not even about playing anymore. It's about analytics and statistics and all of this stupid shit that takes out the actual play out of like sports. And
Here,
it's like,
here's what's funny for me is that I agree with you with the Moneyball that it's just like it took analytics to a different level that it didn't need to go to. That just like some of it is just like when I look at baseball analytics, like I'll relate it to a quick video game reference of when I used to play the 2K baseball series on the a 360. The amount of scouting and like different statistics and analytics that they had for each player was just like I was like, why? Why? It's a video game. We don't need all this. Like, I get it. I want it to be realistic. I do. I want it to be as close to reality when I'm playing it as possible. But all these stats and analytics, I don't need all of that. But evidently, there's somebody out there who's loving every minute of it.
yeah,
Advanced
it's the
analytics is
nerds.
its whole thing.
it's the nerds. Sorry, but it's the nerds, the ones that couldn't actually play baseball.
Yeah.
Like, and it's, to me, it's taken some of the joy out of baseball. Just some of the things that you just love to watch out of baseball.
Yeah.
You know, when you've got pitchers, when they had to make a new rule that a pitcher has to pitch to at least three batters
Yeah.
before you can remove them again, because they were going, that had to do with analytics.
Yeah.
That, and it's like, just fucking play. Like, just play baseball, please. Like, go hit the ball, go throw the ball, go.
Yeah.
Enough with the, like, the wind is blowing in this direction. It's a Tuesday night in LA. It's 56 degrees out and 5% moisture. So, and so is up to bat. It's just insane.
It is.
Just
It's gotten.
play. Like, you're taking the actual fun in the baseball out of baseball, and I don't like it.
Yeah. Well, I think this. I think this when it comes to that stuff. I just don't think it's what needs to be talked about to the fans. Like if that's in the clubhouse, if that talk happens in the clubhouse, I'm all for it. Like if they're analyzing stuff that's helping them make better decisions, like as much as Moneyball is annoying, Moneyball is the reason why the A's were able to find the players that they were when they had their run in the late '90s, where they were a decent squad. They didn't make it to a World Series like they should have, but they were a decent squad and took a squad that really didn't have no business making it to the playoffs every year and took them to the playoffs every year and had them
But
be competitive.
that also had to do with money, and not having the money to get some of those, to get some big players, to put a squad together, and to compensate in a way for some of those things.
I will say that to me is one of the biggest misnomers about the Oakland Athletics. As long as I can remember, the Oakland A's have always been one of the most profitable teams in baseball while having one of the smallest payrolls intentionally. They
Okay,
they could
that,
afford to pay these players what teams like the Yankees and the Guardians are paying them. They just choose not to. The ownership always hamstrings Billy Bean and says, "Nope, we're not paying that much." John Fisher himself, the reason why he wanted to buy the team is because they're one of the most profitable teams in all of baseball, and it's partially because they don't allow their GM to spend money to keep players or to go out and get big name players.
and also because they have turned their team into a glorified farm league, because they develop players and
Hmm.
then they sell them.
Hmm.
That's why.
Yeah.
And as a fan, that sucks. Don't
Yeah.
ever buy a player jersey, because that's a kiss of death.
Well,
Like,
or
and it really, but I
no,
mean,
I
I can
agree.
go
I
all the
agree, but
way
I was gonna
back
say that
to the
that makes it worse
Cespedes
though.
trade.
Yeah.
Eh,
Oh, don't
I
get me
mean,
started.
right, but that was the year we should have gone to the World Series.
Yes.
Period. Cause it's not we anymore, cause
Yeah.
fuck them. But that was the year. How are you going to give up one of your best players when you have the best record in baseball
Yeah.
at that time? Not after that.
Because
And
they
then you still do Cespedes bobblehead day 3 days after you trade him.
because just like with Miguel Tejada and Eric Chavez,
Mm-hmm.
they knew they weren't going to be able to. Once he became a certain level of popular, they knew they were not going to be able, or that ownership was not going to allow them to pay him. So they shipped him and got something for him before they had to pay him. And it sucks that to me that's on ownership, not on Billy Bean, because he was just doing what he had to do.
It wasn't on Billy Bean at
Yeah,
all. I don't blame Billy Bean for
yeah,
that. I do blame ownership. I
yeah.
do blame ownership. Lou Wolf. That was a huge Lou Wolf thing,
Yep.
and I do blame him for that. I blame leadership, ownership, all of them for it. But, like, and I get why they did it, but
Yeah.
you don't do it
Yeah.
then.
Right. You do
Like,
that at
get
the
a
end of the
World
season.
Series out of him. Give
Yeah.
your fans, your loyal as fuck fans, a World Series. Because if you're not out here to win a World Series, then what's the fucking point?
Amen. Amen. All right, so let's get to this NBA talk. So we'll open up talking about, speaking of advanced analytics, we'll open up talking about the Boston Celtics, which advanced analytics has them as the number two team overall. 99% chance to make the playoffs and projected 56 wins. After last year's championship run, they didn't really lose much. They didn't. They
No,
still
but
got
there was a
Kristaps.
point to that. That was the point that they made
Yeah,
to kind of keep that squad together. So,
including playing both Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown to the
hmm
fullest extent, their max contracts. So I think Boston definitely could have a run here.
well, I
Uh,
mean that was very reminiscent of Warriors
yeah,
after their first championship. Like the point was to keep the squad together as much as possible, at least the core players.
and pay whatever you
You
need to
know,
pay to keep them together. Joe
let's
Lacob
fucking
understood that.
and we can afford to pay the luxury tax.
You know, they should have got damn it allowed Joe Lacob to buy the A's. He wanted to.
They
He
did
wanted to. So,
absolutely.
but you also look at the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are BPI ranked number one, 97% chance to make the playoffs, 51 wins. One thing I want to say before we dive into talking about the basketball, because that's a young team that could very well go on a Warriors type run. But
Yeah.
bravo to the owners of the Oklahoma City Thunder, who said that should Seattle win the bid for an expansion team, that they would give the name, the logos, the whole history of the Seattle Supersonics back to the city of Seattle. And so I thought that was very classy of them, and very stand up. It's like that they're willing to say, look, our home now. What they've been in Oklahoma for like 10, 15 years, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's been quite some time.
yeah. So they
So,
have a whole history of their own in Oklahoma. So that Sonic stuff really, they don't need it. He said, yeah, and so that bravo to him. But anyway, his team, outside of the first round draft picks that they have that make them one of the most attractive trade partners in the business. Uh, don't they have something like 4 or 5 for the next 2 or 3 drafts, something like that? Um,
something.
but they
But they're
added,
also a young team that
yeah,
has a lot of like this is what the Lakers could or should have been doing
yep,
from several years back had they not gone with the freaking LeBron James experiment. That's doing them wonders, isn't it?
yep. Like they had ball, they had all people who are balling out
Yeah,
right now,
yeah.
and so
So,
uh, yeah. But I like I said, they won what 50 something games last year, didn't they?
mhm.
Yeah, so I think they could eat. Like I said, that's a team that I could see going on a 5, 10 year run of being one of the top teams. And that owner, is it still Sam Presti that owns the Thunder?
I'm not 100%
Yeah,
sure.
it is. It is. Well, he's the general manager. He's not the owner. He's the general manager, Sam Presti. Um, but yeah. These kids, I like I said, I see them. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I'm watching the Niners Cowboys game.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
I'm
jumping, looking.
going like you know, and I'm behind you because I just saw that play.
uh,
So,
number 3 or number 19 in the BPI rankings, number 3 in ESPN's rankings, with a 64% chance to make the playoffs and 40 plus projected wins, is the New York Knicks, which I think this is actually underrating the Knicks in a lot of ways. Um, because I think their trade for Carl Anthony Towns to add, and they gave Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo, which wasn't cool, but I think that trade actually made them better. Like,
I I don't know cuz now you just broke up the three that had some of the most chemistry
yeah,
together. And so I don't know how I think that that's going to take some time to see how that
plays out.
plays out.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. Let's see. I'm trying to get down to because we're almost running out of time with the segment. There it is. All right, so the Warriors come in at number 16 on the BPI ranking, number 14 on ESPN, Under 50% chance at 47% to make the playoffs and 41 projected wins. I
That's the
think this
chance
may
to
be,
make the playoffs. Like, I mean, how often, even if it's just a play-in game, we
yeah,
don't often miss the playoffs.
right.
Like,
Not
I,
recently, not recently at all.
mm-mm.
Shut quick. Hold on. Quick pause, real quick. What's up to Annie Kate 651? Thanks for the follow. We appreciate it. And uh, Teonia 26. Welcome to both of you. First GenXers. Shout out. Big shout out to both. All right. So yeah. Like I said, I think that they upgraded with every offseason departure and bring back. I think the addition of Buddy Hield is going to be huge. I think the addition of DeAnthony Melton is going to give us an opportunity to let Steph rest. I think that the addition of Ryan Anderson is going to give us times where we can spell both Jonathan Kaminga, Draymond Green, and Trace Jackson Davis, who I believe is the new starting center. Um, I'll say and then we still got Pominski and Mooney coming off the bench. And so I think that this team is a team, as we've seen already through two games. What they put up 140 in the first game and like 136 in the second game.
Yeah, some insane numbers, like, and winning by 30, 40 points. Like, I mean, some just absolute astronomical numbers.
The
So,
the thing with the Warriors is this: whenever the Warriors have been good or championship worthy, they've played great basketball on both sides of the ball. That's always been the deal. When the Warriors are good, they're good. When the Warriors are not, they they're not. Like they can drop in the middle of a dynastic run. They can drop a go Garindo, go. Yeah, they can drop a championship or a 20-win season in the middle of a dynastic run. And then
mhm.
come back 2 years later and win a world or not World Series, but NBA Finals. That's what the Warriors do. Uh, so, any final thoughts on the Warriors for the season before we jump into this commercial break?
Well, I mean, it is sort of Warriors, but sort of not. I
Yeah,
mean, I just want to give props to Klay Thompson because whether he's a Warrior still or not, I want to see him do well. I think there were, I think, people blaming him when things weren't necessarily on him, but to see him go to Dallas and
and
break a
yeah,
three-point record in his
in day
debut,
one,
and
yeah, I'm right there
which
with
is
you.
awesome because I also see him as somebody who comes back to the Warriors and retires as a Warrior.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised for that to happen. So just shout out to Klay Thompson. Still want to see you do good as long as it's not against us.
Yeah, against us, I want to see you kind of fall off. But Clay, no, congratulations to you. The Mavs are looking good with Clay. Like I'm
Yeah,
not gonna lie, like
yeah,
you know, and also congrats to the Warriors because they did something that I didn't like. The one thing out of all the options that they had that I didn't think they were doing that was they're having Buddy Hield come off the bench. And I think that that's great because I think it keeps him fresh. It gives us a fresh 3-point shooter that can come in off the bench. D'Anthony Melton comes in and kind of spells Steph and gives us a situation where we have somebody that can come in and defensively frustrate the other starting point guard when Steph needs a break and needs to sit down. So the Lakers have looked okay. We were just discussing Bronny a little bit earlier, and the word is it is now that Bronny is most likely being sent to the G League, which is good because he's got some growing to do. I'm not saying he's a bad basketball player. I'm just saying the
I
kid's got
am.
some growing to do.
I mean, I'll say it. You might not, but I will. I don't
Yeah,
think he's an NBA basketball player. I think he's barely a G League player, but we'll see. Maybe it'll give him a chance to get out of dad's shadow for a little bit, develop more as a player,
yeah,
which he should have done. I mean, we all know where I stand on this. I've been very clear about it. If LeBron actually cared about his son more than his legacy, he would have encouraged him to do at least one more year at USC.
yeah.
Period.
Couldn't have hurt him. Couldn't
Nope.
have hurt him. And USC had a pretty good team, so odds are they would have made it. back to the NCAA tournament, and then he could have done some stuff like what Steph did. Because, like I said, Steph, people don't understand. Like, Steph was on the radar of NBA folks for a long time, since high school probably. But Steph didn't burst out onto the public scene until Davidson, and it was that run. Steph had been playing for Davidson. I believe Steph wasn't a one and done at Davidson. He played 3 years, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like Steph had been marinating at Davidson before he had that breakout friggin' season where he led them to the, I think it was the Elite Eight in the
Mhm.
NCAA tournament, and just put up like 30, 40 points a game. Like that, Steph was uh, Steph was on top of his game, and
Mhm.
so Bronny could have had a moment like that where USC gets to a NCAA tournament next year, and Bronny has a run that makes it worth it to draft him in the first round. To where he can contribute right away when he comes in. But oh well, LeBron had to have what he had to have, so it is what it is, right? All right, so we're gonna go ahead and go to break. We'll be back after about 5 minutes worth of commercials and podcast promos, and then we'll talk a little NFL Week 8 action. I am Dark Lord 100. That's O'Malley. We're right here on the First GenXers Twitch channel, giving you the classroom. Peace.
You got to keep it, keep it. You got to keep it lovely. You got to keep it, keep it. You got to keep it lovely. Success comes right after the struggle. I ain't even giving up on whatever I wanted. The tragedies I've seen, I can't even stomach. Most of y'all weak as shit and would've started running. Every time I make it back to the crib, I'm thankful the Most High let me see all of it. Grateful I'm lovely, and I've been real with this. Please don't judge me, I'ma stay on my shit. I'ma keep a grind mode button, push it, make it do something. No balls for me, cause I'm a loose cannon. I get to choose, camera, switch it up, look up a new banner. Keep smoking on that banner.
We back at it. Yep, we still doing it. Poetic beat. First GenXers. Gia. Let's get it, y'all. Come on. We back in the building. It's been a long time cooking in the soup kitchen. And I'm chilling with the same. Dropping these beats won't stop, nope, I can't. Let me get up in the lab, turn it up. Game on with the first GenXers. What's up? Let's flip on the switch or the Xbox and get up in my zone. I'm clowning. Let me clear my throat for a minute. Shout out to my folks while I'm in it. It ain't nothing but love, it's babe business. I really don't know what's so who ain't feeling this. And this is only the beginning. Now versus then, this is something for the chillin'. Poetic got the joints like McDonald's. I'm loving it. It's the first GenXers. We're now rocking with Poetic Beats. This is the first GenXers production. Get your PlayStations out. Get your Xbox out. Get your Switch out. Let's get it in, y'all. Holla back.
They say that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But the definition of beauty is distorted.
All right, so we are back. Yeah, I'm no longer going to be running the classroom commercial during the classroom. I got another commercial I'm about to set up that I'll run instead. But I'll continue to run it during Cheap Pop earlier in the day to advertise for that evening, but no more on. Doesn't make sense to run a commercial for that show on that show, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Very, very correct. So,
All right, so let's start our talk with our NFL talk here with Week 8, Vikings at Rams. We're going to talk about one specific thing, not the game itself, but the one thing that came out of the game. Um, the poster child for referees are blind was standing in the back of the end zone. It witnessed Sam Darnold's head get pulled around like the Exorcist, and refused to call face mask. Without my glasses, I could see that that was a face mask. So, yeah, how you feeling about it? Like, yeah,
did he did you need his head to come off with that in order for that to have been a face mask? Like, what more needed to happen for that to have been called? That doesn't make any sense to me.
yep, 100%. Like, look, I get it. Sometimes you just got to let them play. Or sometimes here's the best argument I heard from it. It was on Get Up on ESPN, and they said it best to me when he said, uh, "You throw the flag and then you review it because you're going to review any and all penalties. So you throw the flag, then you review it, and if it's not
Hmm.
face mask, you pick up the flag. If it is face mask, you made the right call. But you should caution on the side of error. If it looks like it could be face mask, then you don't caution on the side of error and not call it. You call it, and then if you have to pick up your flag, you have to pick up your flag. It's okay to be wrong. But in that particular scenario, especially with the time that was left on the clock, the scenario how it ended up giving the Rams a safety that effectively put the game out of reach for Minnesota and caused them to lose the game. Like I said, well, that wasn't the only thing that caused them to lose the game. Horrible play and yeah, some other as well caused them to play lose the game. Letting Matt Stafford throw for 4 touchdowns caused them to lose the game. but
That part.
but also, hey, that man had both of his weapons back, and he used them plenty. Puka Nakua and Cooper Cup. So
Hmm.
congrats to them. I think the Rams are going to be making a run soon. So starting with this game, I'll say all right. So that was that, and then the early games today gave us one gigantic upset. But was it really an upset? We'll have to ask Mr. Deacon on the show and ask him one day. Because the Browns seem to beat the Ravens every now and then, like on the most random, like you like at times in which you're like, okay, the Ravens are obviously the better team, head and shoulders above what the Browns are playing like right
Right.
now, and then
Right.
the Browns will come out of nowhere and beat the Ravens, and it's like, what the,
But do I also need to remind you who else beat the Ravens this year?
yeah, Kansas City did too,
So did the Raiders.
yeah, true. Did they beat the Ravens
So
this year? Oh yeah, huh?
yeah, they did, and then lost to Carolina. The only win that Carolina has had, right? And I think the Browns and the Raiders are in the same category with that. Is that they often will win the games that they have no business winning,
uh,
and then they will lose the games that hands down they should actually win.
yeah.
Like, Carolina should not have that win at this point. Like, that.
That was
No.
handed to them by the Raiders. I can give you
Yeah.
that. Bad play, just doing all kind. Carolina ain't that difficult of a team to beat. You also had the craziness that went on in Green Bay, or no, in Jacksonville, between the Jaguars and the friggin' the Jags and the who was it? The Packers, which a game that ended 30-27 after the Packers went up 27-20. Then Jaguars drove down and tied the game up 27-27, only to let the Packers come back down and kick a field goal to win the game 30-27. All of that happened in like the last 4 minutes of the game. Like it was straight insane. Like, yeah, gotta love it. So Jordan Love, Malik Willis have the Packers at 6-2. I'll stop and ask this question as we go over the results for the day games. Are the Packers a legit contender?
I mean, I think time will tell on that.
Yeah.
Love has had some struggles, had some injury issues. So if he can stay healthy, I think that they could be a legitimate contender. I think nobody expected them to do what they did last season, and they did.
Yeah. Very
So
true.
I think it's a team that you don't count out. Also feel like it's very strange that who is helping from a defensive perspective on the offense
Yeah.
at Green Bay right
Yeah.
now? Robert
Robert
Saleh.
Saleh. Yeah.
Like that's an interesting turn of events.
I don't like it, but it is what it is. I would have preferred if he came back to us, but that's just my Niners bias. Uh,
I kind of also feel like that's just another big middle finger to Aaron Rodgers. You can't convince me otherwise. Like
yeah.
it feels a little personal. I don't, and I mean I don't blame it.
Yeah.
Do what you do, but it's an interesting thing that he is, as a defensive mind, is assisting the offense.
Yeah.
Like,
Uh, and how to yeah how to beat tough defenses, I guess.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
all right, so let's see. During the afternoon games, we'll get to those right quick. We had Saints and Chargers, Bills and Seahawks, which was wow. The Bills just ran all over the Seahawks. The Broncos proved that they're somewhat legit in regards to the fact that they're 5-3. Um,
no one saw that coming at the beginning of the year or
nope.
season.
Figured when they
I mean, they look like trash at the beginning of the season. So most of those losses came up front.
yeah. Very true. And then we also had in the last one of the last games we'll talk about from the early window as well. We had the Bears and the Commanders, a game that another crazy ending. Like the Commanders are up what 12 to 7, and then
Yeah.
the Bears drive down and go up 15-12, and
Yeah,
then the
because
Commanders.
they went and got the 2 point conversion, and then on a freaking Hail Mary from Jaden Daniels, they won the game with 25 seconds left in the game
Oh,
when they got the ball back.
and it was
That's
one of those.
insanity.
And it was one of those Hail Mary things where it was everybody was grouped together. It came down, everybody was reaching up for it. It just kind of popped up, and there's the dude just standing in the end zone by himself. Just like, and the ball's floating right to him, right into his hand. And it was just like, man, like that was one of those moments that as a sports fan, it doesn't matter if you root for that team. As a sports fan, you just love seeing moments like that.
Yeah.
Like legit, you just love seeing moments like that. And when I saw that ending, I was just like, oh my god, dude! Like what it would feel like to be the guy that threw that ball or the guy that caught that ball.
Yeah.
Like you're going out on the town tonight for sure. Like
Well, and a lot of people are like, if that's not a reason for Rookie of the Year right there, like, I mean,
one and
and
done.
well, also too, like, I mean, that was a game in itself because you had the number one and the number two draft
Yep,
picks who
going
are
at it.
both doing amazing on their respective teams right
Yep,
now, going at it and really playing their hearts out. They played good football.
yep,
Caleb did very well, just staying in the moment
yep.
and really he he looks the way that he leads that team, he looks like he's been in the NFL a lot longer
Yeah.
than he has.
Yeah.
You know, and
The
then
kid's got
Jaden
some poise.
Daniels, yeah, Jaden Daniels not letting that moment,
Be bigger
like,
than him.
yeah, and
Yeah.
so that just absolutely, I mean, it sure beat the game that was on right before, right, that it took over for the
Which one?
Raider Kansas
Oh.
City game
Oh my
that was
God.
on. I mean, where could I know they were in Vegas, but it looked like they might as well have been in Kansas City. Did people see the the stands?
Uh-uh.
It looked like a Kansas City game. And
Damn.
I stand by what I've said all along. You moved the team to Vegas and you effectively gave up home field advantage.
Yep.
Period.
Because most of your fans
Just
are going to be tourists.
yep.
Like, it's not going to be the same. Oh. All right. So let me close us out as we rock it, as we lock it down. Um, Tomorrow night is the last thing that we kind of got to talk about. That's going to be Steelers and, dang it, I just had it up. Giants. Steelers and Giants. So it will be a game that nobody cares about. But hopefully the
I
Steelers
mean,
win, I
the
guess.
Steelers fans might care about it. I don't think the Giants fans will.
Yeah. Yeah, they're just, yeah, they're not liking life right now, and I don't blame them because that team is just, whew,
Trash,
yeah,
dumpster
trash.
fire.
Those are two good ways. Those are two accurate statements, in saying that they are that. But the Steelers are looking good. They're looking even better with Russ than they did with Justin Fields. So I hate the saying. I always hated the saying that if you have two quarterbacks, you have none. Like, I don't necessarily think that. I think you can have two quarterbacks and just have two really good quarterbacks.
Well, and I think I think that Justin Fields is going to have a good career. I
Yeah,
really do believe that.
yeah,
I think that Russ coming back will give him a little bit of an opportunity to develop a little bit more.
just a little bit more.
I also think that Mike Tomlin needs to kind of update some of his offense a little bit and not just be resting on the run game and also the defense. I mean, I get it. Pittsburgh is historically a defensive team, but like, dude, you've been coaching this team for decades. It feels like
You,
at this
you,
point.
you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of when Bill Cowher was at his time where he really needed to step aside, and when Mike Tomlin took over. Like Bill Cowher, like, bro, you just weren't as in touch with the new NFL as you know as as Mike Tomlin was. Just like when Bill Cowher took over for, oh God, I forget who he took over for, but when Bill Cowher took over, he was kind of considered more new and innovative than the guy he was taking over for.
Well, and we're also talking about Pittsburgh is a team and a franchise that has a history of like they keep their coaches
No matter
forever,
what. Yep.
right?
Until the coach
So
is done.
right. So, and I mean, there's something to be said about that type of stability, and that you don't just, you
I
know,
want to say they've only had like five coaches in their entire history. Yeah.
like that's huge,
Yeah.
right? So, and it they they don't throw everything out just because you have a bad year or
Throw out the
two.
baby with the bathwater. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think that that's a good thing, but I do think that Tomlin either needs to
Update.
update his play or step aside.
Yeah.
It may be a time for a changing of the guard because the NFL has evolved, and sir, you need to evolve with it
No.
or become an analyst or a color commentator or just retire and kick your feet up and know that you have had a long storied career and you've you've gotten pretty much every accomplishment that a coach should want.
Uh,
Oh,
Sorry,
there's
they're showing a replay of the
yeah,
Jaden Daniels.
yeah.
They were showing his guy was like the guy who was supposed to be guarding the guy that caught the ball was like that was over like bragging and showgoating to the
I,
sidelines when he should
I
have been
swear
paying
that
attention.
that looked like a game of Three Flies Up.
Yeah.
Really, like
Yeah.
that's what it
That's
looks
the name of
like.
that game. I'll say. All right. So that's going to wrap us up today, guys. I hope you guys have enjoyed listening to myself and O'Malley talk sports. We should be back again next Sunday. And be sure to stick around and join us here at First GenXers for Now versus Then Deuce with Agent K28, otherwise known as the Saint. I'll be back again tomorrow with some football, and O'Malley will be back next week. So, hope you guys have enjoyed. Shout out to you. Check out the website, 2KK2network.com. It's got all the bells and whistles now. You can listen to the shows. You can listen to past episodes. Go check it out. All right. So I will sign us off, and y'all have a good night. Peace.